Good morning, everyone. Good morning, SDO Pangasinan 2. Welcome to my CID Google Classroom for the school year 2020-21. My special greetings to our Schools Division Superintendent, Dr. Danilo C. Sison, our OIC Assistant Schools Division Superintendent, Dr. Wilfredo Isindayen, in charge of elementary schools, and also to our OIC Assistant Schools Division Superintendent, Dr. Arlene B. Kasipit, in charge of the secondary schools. My greetings likewise to our education program supervisors in charge of secondary cluster schools and our public schools district supervisors in charge of elementary schools. Also to our school heads in both public and private schools, our department heads, and the school checking committee of school forms, and all advisors and teachers. Once again, welcome to my CID Google Classroom. Okay, so this day I would like to discuss with you the interim guidelines on the preparation, submission, and checking of school forms for the school year 2020-21. So this is just a temporary guidelines while we are under the pandemic period. So this is actually Department Memorandum number 14 series of 2021. This memorandum, ladies and gentlemen, is issued to all DepEd officials and all teachers in both public and private elementary and secondary levels. Let me start in paragraph 1. Consistent with the Basic Education Learning Continuity Plan or the BELCP, as stipulated in DepEd Order Number 12 Series of 2020, the Department of Education issues the interim guidelines on the preparation, submission, and checking of school forms for the school year 2020-2021. This issuance amends certain provisions of Department Order Numbers 4 Series of 2014 and 58 Series of 2017 to reflect the requirements of distance learning modalities in school forms, as well as to ensure the collection of necessary data for evidence-based decision-making for the school year 2020-2021. This means that there are changes, or I would say slight changes in the school forms 1 to 10. This is to reflect the requirements of the DLM or the distance learning modalities that we are adopting in the implementation of the K-12 curriculum while face-to-face modality is not possible. As we continue, we learn some changes in School Form 1, which is the school registry, School Form 2, the daily attendance of learners, School Form 3, books and learning resources issued and returned, School Form 4, the monthly attendance of learners, School Form 5, the promotion and level of proficiency of learners, School Form 6, the summary of promotion and level of proficiency, School Form 8, the nutritional status of learners, School Form 9, progress report card, and School Form 10, permanent record. In number 2, in this regard, the following amendments are adopted in the submission and checking of school forms. So ano po yung ating pong ihahanda, ano po yung ating pong isasubmit na school forms. For number 1, school form number 1 or the school registry. Additional data elements for learning modality shall be added in the existing school form 1. The learning modality shall be updated whenever the learner shifts from one learning modality to another at the end of each quarter. The updated modality shall be generated through the Learner Information System as official quarterly enrollment count per modality. The age to be recorded in the form is the learner's age by October 31, 2020. So, ang makikita po natin dito, meron pong dalawang bagay. The additional data element, ito po yung ano po yung learning modality na ginagamit ng bata o ipinapagamit natin sa school. So that is included in this school form number 1. At sinasabi rito na kailangan ay ma-update yung anong klaseng learning modality ang ginagamit niya because there will be shifting from one learning modality to another. At isa pang bagay na makikita rin natin dito, the age to be recorded in the form is the learner's age by October 31, 2020. Let's have school form number 2, SF2 or the daily attendance of learners. It says here, given the temporary suspension of face-to-face learning and with the implementation of different learning modalities, teachers, advisors may choose an applicable learner attendance conversion tool or LACT. Okay, so we can see this in Annex 2 of this memorandum and it will be discussed later on. Says here that can be considered in checking the learner's attendance. The chosen norm of attendance checking should be explained to parents, learners for awareness and also for transparency. So hindi po katulad doon na face-to-face na everyday we check the attendance. Okay, so binibilang po natin yung attendance nila everyday. Sino ang present, sino po ang absent. So ngayon po ay iba na yung ating pong panahon, iba na po yung ating pong ginagawa. So to align with the different learning modalities that we are doing, meron pong ginawa ng Department of Education at ito nga po yung tinatawag na Learner Attendance Conversion Tool o tinatawag na LACT. Meron pong nakalagay po doon na LACT 1 or LACT 2 or LACT 3 or whatsoever LACT na pwede po nating gamitin in checking the attendance. At kailangan din po na ito ay may bigay na orientation to all the learners, including their parents, as well as other teaching personnel in the school para lahat po ay aware at magiging transparent po yung gagawin po natin na datos para po sa school form number 2 na ito or the daily attendance. The school form 2 that are already prepared by teachers for the first 2 quarters should be adopted without any further modification. Hence, the adoption of the LACT is only applicable and should only be used for the 3rd and the 4th quarters of the school year 2020-2021. So natapos na po ang quarter 1 and quarter 2 at kamakailan lamang po na ibaba po itong department memorandum. And so we are mandated to apply or adopt the LACT for 3rd and the 4th quarters of this school year. However, in the situation like hindi po talaga na-prepare ang teacher ang school form 2 during the 1st and the 2nd quarter, po pwede niyang gamitin itong LACT na ito. Okay? So, pero kung meron na pong ginawa ng teacher from the 1st quarter up to the 2nd quarter, hindi na po dapat ito guluhin. Hindi na dapat ito i-modify. This is according to this department memorandum. Okay, dito pa rin ho tayo sa learners attendance. At sinasabi po ng department memorandum, teachers are highly encouraged to exercise due consideration and to reach out to learners. So, medyo pahabain po natin yung ating pong pasensya at magbigay sana tayo ng consideration sa lahat po ng mga learners po natin, lalong-lalo na yung nahihirapan. At saka sa mga malalayo, let's try to reach them out at magplano po tayo, mag-strategize po tayo para lahat po ng mga learners ay kahit na sa pandemic sila po ay nakakapag-participate. Pero hindi talaga natin maiwasan na meron po talagang magda-drop o yung tinatawag po natin dito na NLPA. So a learner can only be considered a dropout or NLPA if the learner and his parent or guardian voluntarily withdraw him from schooling. So kung talagang matigas yung puso ng nanay at ganun din ang estudyanteng ito, wala na po tayong magagawa. At isa pang measure na dapat po nating i-consider para siya po ay drop out if he incurs absence of more than 20% of the prescribed number of class or laboratory periods during the school year or semester as per Department Order number 8 series of 2015. So ano po itong more than 20% of the prescribed number of class during the school year. So sa Republic Act about the school year ay kailangan po na magkaroon po ng 200 to 220 days. So kukunin po natin yung minimum na number of school days, 200 multiply that by 20%, that is 40 days. So sabi dito more than 20%, kaya kailangan po niyang mag-41, mag-42 days at doon ay madadrop na talaga yung bata kung walang mga valid reasons yung kanyang hindi po pagsagawa o pag-participate sa kanyang modality. So this is equivalent to 7 weeks because according to the school year department memorandum issued by the Department of Education, meron pong 6 na araw po na igugugol ng bata ngayon sa kanyang pag-aaral. That includes Saturday. So 7 weeks times 6 days in a week. So that's 42 days. So kung wala siya talagang attendance sa 7 weeks na ito, okay, because ang kanilang modality ay online classes, siya po ay madadrop. O kaya yung letter B dito, non-submission of modules, activity sheets, without any communication contact efforts being made by the learner or parent or guardian with teacher. So kung ito naman ay gumagamit po sila ng modular approach, syempre magbibigay ng mga modules, mag-submit ng mga modules activity sheets at wala ng communication within that 7 weeks, pag hindi po ginawa ng bata, maging ang kanyang mga magulang, eto na po ay mitya na sila po ay madadrop. Pero ang panawagan po ng ating pong SDO, sana po ay gumawa pa rin po tayo ng remedyo na tinatawag o remediation upang ma-address po natin yung lahat ng pangangailangan ng ating po mga learners. So may mga iba't ibang kadahilanan kung hindi na nagpa-participate ang bata. So hindi lang natin i-consider yung attendance dito mga kapatid, kundi tignan din po natin kung ano yung pwede po nating mai-offer para sa ganon ay magpatuloy pa rin ang ating mga learners sa kanilang pag-aaral. Okay, note that contact communication efforts may vary depending on the distance learning modality and may include but are not limited to 1. Electronic digital communication. If the two parties are connected with the internet, then they can have their communication via email or via Messenger or Facebook. In number 2, they can have the phone calls or text messaging using their cell phones. And at the designated drop or pickup kiosk, the parents and the teachers will have their communication and they will talk about the activities of the learners. In number 4, with middlemen. So if the teachers are not available in the distribution and retrieval of the materials or the SLMs or the hard copy of the modules, then a non-teaching personnel will be the one to give the hard copies of these materials. O kaya kung hindi naman ay mga friends and relatives of the learner and the parents kung hindi rin sila available. So, ang gagawin po dito ng middleman, sasabihin niya na na-contact o kaya siya po yung mag-witness na about the participation of the parents or the learners or the relatives and friends of the parents and the learners. So ito po ay considered pa rin na attendance ng ating po mga learners. And using the communication-based radio, and number 6, letter correspondence. Kung sumulat po ang mga magulang sa mga teachers nila o kaya vice versa, ito po ay isa rin pong communication effort. And number 7, attending classes if warrants by the IATF or attending meetings or orientation or any physical interaction between parent, guardian, and advisor within the parameters of the existing local national health safety protocols of IATF for COVID-19. These are all considered contact or communication efforts, and these are all consideration for the checking of attendance. At sinasabi po sa Department Memorandum that the reporting cutoff date for enrollment for this school year 2020-21 is as of October 9, 2020. For school form number 3, this is a form for books issued and returned. If the school is releasing books and other learning materials to learners, SF3 or the school form number 3 may be used. This form can also be utilized to record the distribution and retrieval of learning modules in using SF3 for the recording and monitoring of modules. The title of the book shall be replaced with an appropriate reference code or with the title of the module being issued or distributed. So, ang School Form 3 pala ay isang form na pwedeng gamitin po natin sa pag-record ng mga na-utilize o na-distribute na learning modules para sa mga estudyante natin. So, pwede po tayong mag-duplicate o kaya mag-reproduce ng kopya po ng School Form number 3 dahilan napakarami pong modules ang ating pong dinidistribute. And so this can be utilized as our way of recording the distribution and also the retrieval of these learning modules used during pandemic time. Next, we have School Form 4, Monthly Attendance of Learners. This form is the consolidated report of School Form 2. And the adjustments are as follows. For letter A, instead of a monthly submission to the district office, School Form 4 shall only be submitted quarterly. So for quarter 1 in our division, this is our day or schedule, October 5, 2020 to December 12, 2020. For quarter 2, January 2, 2021 to February 27, 2021. And quarter 3, March 22, 2021 to May 15, 2021. And the fourth quarter is May 17, 2021 to July 10, 2021. So ito po yung ating pong gagawan po ng School Form 4 at sinabi rito na monthly attendance of learners. So instead of giving or submitting the School Form 4 in the division or in the district office, it shall be a quarterly submission instead of monthly submission. Let's have letter B. Replace the column for dropout with no longer participating in learning activities or NLPA. So wala pong dropout ngayon, kundi ang tawag po natin sa kanila ay NLPA. At ang ibig sabihin nito, this is the status of learners whose parent, guardian, or even the learner has failed to communicate or has not made any efforts to contact the class advisor for at least 7 consecutive weeks. This status is also appropriate for the learners who have expressed his desire to stop participating in any learning activity. So sila po yung mga tinatawag na NLPA. Yung learner na ito, hindi po siya nakipag-communicate sa kanyang class advisor for at least 7 consecutive weeks. Pag pinag-usapan po natin ang consecutive weeks, ito yung sunod-sunod na weeks. Ngunit kung ang bata naman ay pasulpot-sulpot yung kanyang communication with the advisor, hindi po siya pwedeng i-drop o kaya hindi po siya po pwedeng i-tag or i-brand na no longer participating in learning activities. Kasi hindi natin alam, baka meron po siyang mga pinagkakabalahan dahil gusto niyang tumulong sa pamilya, ngunit meron pa rin siyang communication effort or contact effort kahit papaano at hindi rin naman niya pinapalagpas ang 7 consecutive weeks. Pero kung ito talaga ay nangyayari na and sinasabi rito ay kung ang learner ay nag-express din siya ng desire to stop participating in any learning activity, talagang siya po ay matatawag po natin na NLPA. However, if the learner is expressing desire to continue participating in learning activities after 7 consecutive weeks or non-participation, ang sabi rito, the school head may assess the situation and decide for the best interest of the learner. So ang deciding factor po dito ay ang school head, hindi po ang school teacher or advisor. So siya po yung magdidesisyon kung tatanggapin muli siya, ngunit bago niya gagawin yan, kailangan po ay i-assess yung kanyang situation and decide for the best interest of the learner. Paano kung medyo huli na yung mga learning activities ng mga bata? So, ang gagawin ng teacher dito ay magbigay po siya ng intervention na tinatawag. Magbibigay siya ng remediation. Magbibigay siya ng learning support. O kung kinakailangan ay meron po siyang mga kasama o tinatawag na learning facilitators in the barangay na po pwedeng itap para makahabol ang batang ito na gusto pang magpatuloy sa kanyang pag-aaral. So inuulit ko po, the one who will decide whether he is accepted or he will be denied ay walang iba kundi ang school head. Pero ang sasabihin ko po sa inyong lahat sa hapong ito, sa araw na ito, sana po ang school head ay magbigay po tayo ng due consideration sa batang humihingi ng tawad o humihingi po ng tulong, nagpapasaklolo sa atin even after the 7 consecutive weeks na non-participation niya, yung hindi niya paggalaw, gagawa po tayo ng paraan upang siya po ay makapagpatuloy sa kanyang pag-aaral. Another thing, letter C, additional data fields for mortality and death. Ito po ang kailangan pong isang datos na makita po natin sa school form number 4. Another important school form is school form number 8, or the basic health and nutrition profile. Parents or guardians may administer the actual measuring of weight and height, that is to compute the body mass index, and submit a reading result to the class advisor. For parents or guardians who have limited resources or ability to make the actual measurement, they may seek the assistance of a barangay health worker and or other health professionals. The reading result may be reported to the class advisor for encoding in the LIS. So, kung ako ang tatanungin nyo dito, siguro ay tayo na po ang dapat na mag-compute sa body mass index. Basta ibigay na lamang yung datos ng weight and height of their children at tayo na po sana ang bahalang mag-compute dito. Okay, so uh, kung ang mga parents at guardians po natin ay limited ang kanilang resources at wala silang abilidad para kunin ang actual measurement ng kanilang anak, ang kanilang weight at ang kanilang height, sabihin po natin siya kanila na kumonsulta po sa health worker ng barangay o kaya ang munisipyo or other health professionals. Ito po ang kailangan na po na gawin po natin habang medyo maluwag pa ang panahon po natin para kunin ang datos ng weight at ang height ng kanilang mga anak. So updating of school Form A through LIS facility is highly encouraged for elementary grade levels but not mandatory except for the learner recipient of any program promoting health and nutrition. Junior high school and senior high school are not required to accomplish School Form 8 and update BMI and LIS. So maliwanag po dito na kailangan po ang lahat po ng elementary grade levels po natin i-update po ang School Form number 8. Isa pang bagay dito ay meron po tayong program to promote the health and nutrition of our learners. Meron po tayong school feeding program, and from your reports, doon po nila makikita ang effectiveness o kaya yung necessity kung ito po ay magpapatuloy pang programa ng Department of Education. Samantalang sa junior high school and sa junior and senior high school are not required to accomplish this school form number 8. Next one, another important school form is the progress report o yung tinatawag po nating card. Instruction and guidelines related to assessment and computation of grades are available in DO number 31 series of 2020. So you will be guided on how to assess learning and how to compute the grades in this Department Order number 31 series of 2020. In this pandemic period, in light of the pandemic, meron pong two important assessment component na kailangan po nating i-consider to compute the grades of our learners. One is the written outputs and two is the performance task. And according to the academic case, memorandum issued by the Undersecretary in charge of curriculum and instruction ay ang requirement lamang po dito is the minimum of 4 performance tasks and a minimum of 4 written outputs ang pwede po nating kunin upang makompute na ang grades ng ating po mga learners. Following may also be considered in the preparation of School Form 9. A. Indicate at the bottom part of each column the learning modality being adopted in each quarter. And please refer to the sample illustration in Annex 1, and that will be part of our discussion. So, meron pong pagbabago ng konti at ito lamang po yung paglagay po natin at the bottom part sa column po ng every quarter ang mga learning modality na inadapt po natin every quarter. Letter B, the character traits and core values portions of School Form 9 are not required to be accomplished. So ito po yung chine-check po natin na observe, always observe, frequently observe na mga character traits and core values, hindi na po natin gagalawin yan. Okay, so let's proceed now to the next form, and that is School Form 10, the permanent record. The School Form 10 shall be prepared at the end of the school year. So ito yung form na hindi po prepare every quarter, kundi inihahanda lamang po at the end of the school year. The department shall also issue further instructions in accomplishing the said form. So there will be another round of orientation kasi hinihintay po natin yung additional instructions in accomplishing School Form 10. Sabi po rito, nevertheless, for grades 5 and 6 who are still using School Form or the Form 137, instruction for SF9, character traits and core values shall be applied. So kung ano po yung hindi po nating pag-accomplish ng character traits and core values sa School Form 9, ganun na rin po sa School Form 137 o kaya ang School Form 10. The division level checking of school forms, which is being conducted by the Division Checking Committee or the DCC, as stipulated in Section 5, paragraphs A1, B2, and C2 of the DepEd Order 11 Series of 2018 is hereby suspended. So, wala pong mag-check o magkakandak ng checking by the Division Checking Committee. So ano ngayon kaya ang silbi ng ating po mga supervisors kung hindi po sila mag-check? So this office will mandate them to oversee the checking activities in the school. So kailangan po ma-check up po natin kung ano po ang ginagawa po nila and provide them technical assistance also of doing their activities during the school checking committee. The annual checking of school forms shall only be done at the school level. Shall only be done at the school level by whom? By the school checking committee. The school checking may be conducted through online and or on-site, provided that health and safety protocols are being observed. The result of the checking of forms initiated by the school checking committee is deemed final and can be used by the school to complete its submission in the LIS. So, ang gagawa po talaga ng checking na ngayon at ang committee po na dapat natitingin dito ang school checking committee. So, I urge every school to organize your school checking committee. Kung medyo malaki po yung school po natin, so you can have the school checking committee by grade level. O kaya naman ay pwedeng by key stages, K1, 2, and 3 all together or 4, 5, and 6 all together. Kung sobrang talagang maliit ang school, then you can only have one school checking committee, of course, to be led by the school head. So, pwede po natin gawin dito ang online o kaya naman ay on-site provided that health and safety protocols are being observed. Pero ang hirap talagang mag-check on-site, online. So, sana po ay pagka mangyayari ito, hindi po magkalapit-lapit ang mga teachers po natin. Siguro yung reader po ay gagamit po ng microphone para po sa ganon ay pwedeng mapakinggan ng malakas sa mga ibang miyembro na mag-check po ng school form. In number 3, the department shall issue further instructions in accomplishing School Form 5, Report on Promotion and Level of Proficiency, and School Form 6, or the summarized report on promotion and level of proficiency at the end of the school year. So, hihintayin po rin natin ang instructions coming from the Department of Education. So, hindi ko alam kung meron pong pagbabago, merong karagdagan, meron pong maalis. Pero let's just wait for the further instructions coming from the CO. In number for the adjustments made, which will be posted in and can be accessed through the Learner Information System, shall be incorporated in the school forms for the school year 2020-2021 in all public and private school, as well as state and local colleges and universities offering basic education. the regional schools division offices, and even schools are highly discouraged to introduce localized forms that only duplicate data in these nationally issued forms. So, pakiusap lamang po na lahat ng ating po mga forms are generated via the LIS. So, ito po ay pang public o kaya pang private schools, kaya lahat po sana ay be mindful about this department memorandum. In number 5, this memorandum shall only be applicable for school year 2021. So because this is an interim guidelines for the preparation, checking, and submission of school forms. Ngunit meron pong karagdagan yung number 5 unless otherwise extended. So if the pandemic will continue, of course, this memorandum will still be the guideline to be taken by all schools in our schools division. Okay, let us discuss now the inclusion to DepEd Memorandum number 14, series of 2021. And the first one is the School Form 1 or the School Register. So ito po yung buo na format ng ating School Form 1 o tinatawag na School Register. At ipapaliwanag po natin ang bawat column nito, mga entry na dapat nating ilagay, kaya hinati-hati ko ito into parts para sa ganun ay maunawaan po natin ang laman ng school form number 1. So let's have the upper portion of the school form or the school register. So what are the data needed in this the upper portion? We have school ID. So every school has its own unique number, or we call it the school ID number. Ilagay din po natin ang pangalan ng school, kaya lamang ito po ay sa buo ang pagkasulat, katulad po ng Binalonan North Central School SPED Center. So bawal po na ilagay po natin ito na BNCSSC o kaya BIN North Cen School SPED Cent. So, hindi po shortcut ang kailangan na mailagay po dyan, kundi buong pangalan ng school. And also the name of our division. So, consistently kailangan po ito ay sa ganitong forma. So, Pangasinan 2, we use the Roman numeral 2. And indicate also the school year. It should be 2020, 2021. And the grade level, grade 6. And district, it should be Binalonan 1 because Binalonan North Central School SPED Center belongs to Binalonan 1. And the section example is Magilas. So ito po yung dapat na lahat ng cell dito ay malagyan po ng information. So let me discuss another portion of this school form, number 1. So there are 8 columns actually, and I would like to explain it one by one so that there will be uniformity in filling out of this form. In number 1, LRN. This is the learner's reference number. So there is a unique number for every learner. At ma-generate po na natin ang LRN sa LIS, kaya lahat po ng LRN po ng mga bata should be congruent to all the forms na ginagawa po natin, including the diploma or the certificate of our learners. In number 2, the name. The last name, the first name, the middle name. Para magkaroon po tayo ng uniformity, hindi po all caps ang pag-encode po ng name. So only the first letter of the name shall be the capital letter. In number 3, sex. So indicate M if the learner is a male learner, and if she is a female learner. In number four, birth date, it should be digits, two-digit number that indicates the month, and the date should be in two digits also, and four digits for the year. For example, March 24, 1966. So 03 slash 24 slash 1966. And the computation for the age will be as of October 31. And number six, the mother tongue. Okay, this is needed for grade 1, 2, 3. And for number seven, IP or indigenous peoples group or the ethnic group. And number eight, the religion or the religious affiliation of the child. Let's have another portion of this school form. There are columns for the parents, likewise for the guardian if not parent. There is also a column for the contact number of parent or guardian, and also the learning modality, and for number five, remarks, and we can see the legend on the last page of this form. So let's have the columns for the parents. For number one, father's name. Okay, so you have to write the last name, the first name, and the middle name. And for number two, the mother's maiden name. Ito po yung kanyang pangalan nung siya po ay dalaga. So you have to write the last name, the first name, and the middle name of the mother. So katulad po ng pag-fill out natin sa column for the learners, the first letter of the last name, the first name, and the middle name should be in capital letter. The rest will be in small letters. For guardian if not parent, so you have to write the name. So to be consistent, my dear participants in this training or orientation program, we do follow the last name, the first name, and the middle name also. And you have to write also the relationship. For number three, the contact number of parent or guardian. Kailangan meron po ito. At yung number four, the learning modality. Ano po yung ginamit po natin sa pagturo ng mga batang enrolled sa ating mga klase. And for number five, the remarks. So you can see the legend on the last page of this form. So these are the indicators, and these are the things to be placed on the remark. Kaya ito po yung mga code na dapat po nating tandaan. For transferred out, the code is TO. Transferred in, the code is TI. And drop or DRP, that's the code. However, as per guideline, ang sinasabi po doon sa una, hindi na po drop kundi no longer participating in learning activities or the NLPA. Basta meron pong kasunduan at nagdesisyon na po ang parent ng bata o kaya ang ang learner ay hindi na talaga nagpakita for at least 7 consecutive weeks. Next, required information about the school. So name of public, and that is for P, or private, PR, and effectivity date. And number three, the name of public, P, private, and effectivity. And number three, reason and effectivity date. So these are the required information if necessary. Another indicator is or are the following. One, the CCT recipient. So the code will be CCT. For number two, balik-aral or BA. And learner with disability, LWD. And number four, accelerated for ACL. Required information. For number one, CCT control reference number and effectivity date. And number two, name of the school last attended and year. And number three, specify. okay, specify the level and also the effectivity date when the learner, for example, is transferred in. So you have to indicate the specific date of enrolling in by the transferred in. Let's have the last portion of the school form. We have a table for the registered male and female and the total for the beginning of the school year and end of the school year. So meron pong pagbabago ito kung meron pong transferred in or transferred out o kaya drop o tinatawag po natin na not no longer participating in learning activities or the NLPA na tinatawag. So this form is to be prepared by the advisor and to be certified correct by the school head. Okay, so kailangan po na pipirma po ang dalawa including the one in charge of the LIS. So if this is generated through the LIS, then the LIS coordinator of the school will sign also this form. This is the picture of school form 2 or the daily attendance report of learners. So parang ganito rin kaya lang meron pong konting kaibhan dahil meron pong idinagdag dito. So let's have it portion by portion para maintindihan po natin ang laman ng school form 2. So we have here the same entry for the school ID, the school year, the name of the school, the report for the month of. So kailangan po ay meron po tayong monthly report at ang grade level at ang nakalagay na po dito ay how to compute the attendance of the learner kung ano po yung gagamitin po nating tool. So meron pong nakalagay dito na example ay learner attendance conversion tool number 1 ang kanyang ginamit. Pero makikita po natin mamaya kung ano yung angkop na conversion tool na gagamitin po natin for our division. Okay, so next to one is the columns. So there is a column for the number, okay, column for the name of the learners. So male muna bago ang female. Then we take the combined total per day at ito ang isusulat po ng ating po mga advisors. So the total for the month, meron pong absent, meron pong present. And the remarks, depende po ito kung siya po ay NLPA, kung siya po ay transferred out or transferred in. So this must be included in the report. And this is now the guidelines for the computation of the percentage of enrollment, the average daily attendance, the percentage of attendance for the month. Yung guideline number 1 po natin, the attendance shall be accomplished daily. Refer to the codes for checking learners' attendance. However, in the situation like in the use of SLM, meron pong conversion sa pagtanggap ng module at meron ding conversion sa pagbigay ulit o pag-retrieve ng mga activities sa ating pong mga learners. So, tignan po natin yun mamaya. For number 2, dates shall be written in the column after learner's name. And to compute for percentage of enrollment, the formula is registered learners as of the end of the month over enrollment of the first Friday of the school year times 100. So ito po yung letter A, percentage of enrollment. For letter B, average daily attendance. So the formula is total daily attendance over the number of school days in reporting month. And letter C, percentage of attendance for the month. It is computed as average daily attendance over registered learners as of the end of the month times 100. For 4, Every end of the month, the class advisor will submit this form to the office of the principal or recording of summary table into school form 4. Once signed by the principal, this form should be returned to the advisor. So you are the keeper. If you are an advisor, you are the keeper of this school form number 2. This is a monthly report. In number 5, the advisor will provide necessary interventions, including but not limited to home visitation, to learners who were absent for 5 consecutive days and or those at risk of dropping out. And number 6, attendance performance of learners will be reflected in Form 137 and Form 138 every grading period, or the equivalent modified form, school form 9 and school form 10. So beginning of the school year cutoff report is every first Friday of the school year. At tignan naman po natin dito yung codes for checking attendance. Di ko alam kung ito pa rin ay pwedeng gamitin, but let's try to discuss it one by one. And so let me have the clearer one para maintindihan po natin lahat. So let me proceed to the next slide. So this is the clearer slide for the codes for checking attendance. One is blank for present and X for absent. However, sa case po ng tardy, case po ng late cover o kaya lower ang cutting of classes, ay hindi na po natin ito i-reflect kasi wala namang mga late comers, wala din pong cutting classes during pandemic time. For number 2, reasons and causes for NLPA. Letter A, we have domestic related factors. Letter B, individual related factors. C, school related factors. And D, geographic environmental factors. And E, financial related. So letter A, we have here hard, A.1 hard to take care of siblings, A.2 early marriage or pregnancy, A.3 parents' attitude towards schooling, and A.4 family problems. These are all factors under letter A or domestic related factors. For letter B, individual related factors. B.1 illness, B.2 overage, B.3 death, B.4 drug abuse, B.5 poor academic performance, B.6 lack of interest distractions, B.7 hunger, malnutrition. C school related factors, C.1 teacher factor, C.2 physical condition of classroom, C.3 peer influence. And for letter D, geographic or environmental, D.1 distance between home and school, D.2 armed conflict including tribal wars and clan feuds, and D.3 calamities or disasters, and E financial related if the child is engaged in child labor or work, and F others. Please do specify. So ito yung mga reasons na kailangan din po natin i-report because we still have another report at the end of the school year para ma-account po natin talaga yung mga factors that causes for the non-participation of our learners during pandemic time. So magbibigay po ako ng template para sa ganon ay may sagawa po natin at mapag-aralan din po natin after the consolidation in the whole division po natin. Let's have another portion of this school form number 2. So there is a column for the month, the number of days of classes, and the summary. The enrollment as of the first Friday of June, pero hindi na po tayo naging June, kundi October po tayo nag-start. At late enrollment during the month, kung meron po tayo, registered learners as of the end of the month, kung meron po ba, percentage of enrollment as of the end of the month. You can compute that using the formula given, as well as the average daily attendance and the percentage of attendance for the month and the number of students absent for 5 consecutive days. So you have to provide us the data kung alin sa mga estudyante po natin o kung sino-sino yung mga estudyante po natin na hindi po nagparamdam for 5 consecutive days, which means in a week. So how many of our learners did not participate in the activities, or NLPA, or no longer participating in learning activities? And of course, the data for transferred out and the data for transferred in. So, doon po sa huli, makikita po natin dito yung certification na gagawin po ng advisor. Okay, so sinasabi po niya dito, I certify that this is a true and correct report. And this is to be attested by the school head. So the one preparing this form is no other than the class advisor. Pero ito pinapakialaman talaga ng school head dahil kailangan po niyang i-consolidate ang lahat ng gagawin ng kanyang advisors at the end of the month. At ito naman po yung gagawin niya for the picture of the whole school with regards to attendance of learners. Let's have another form. This is school form number 3, or the books issued and returned. So this is the picture of this form, and this is also the page 2. And we have here the guidelines and other things in this form, and let me discuss it again one by one. Okay, so let's try to have the different columns of this school form number 3. So these are the titles. For column number 1, the name of the learner. For column number 2, the subject area and the title of the books issued or the module issued. And for number 3, the date. The date issued or the date returned. That's in number 5 and number 6. And for the column, for number 4 column, it's about the remarks or actions and what are to be written under this column. There is a guide at the back of this form. Okay, so let's have the guidelines for school form number 3. Number 1, title of books issued to each learner must be recorded by the class advisor. 2, the date of issuance and the date of return shall be reflected in the form. 3, the total number of copies issued at this beginning of the school year shall be reflected in the form. 4, the total number of copies of books returned at this end of the school year shall be reflected in the form. 5, all textbooks being used must be included. Additional copies of this form may be used if needed. In case of lost and returned books, please provide information with the following code. For letter A, in column date returned, codes are FM, which means force majeure, TDO means transferred or dropout, or neg means negligence. For B, in column remark action taken, codes are SL, FL, secured letter from learner, duly signed by parent or guardian. For code FM. TLTR, teacher prepared letter, report duly noted by school head, submission to school property custodian for code TDO, and PTL paid by the learner for code NEG. Reference are DepEd Order Number 23, Series of 2001, and DO number 25 series of 2003 and DO number 13 series of 2012. Okay, so in the guidelines actually it says there that if you issued modules, you can also utilize this school form number 3. Let us proceed to school form number 4. This is the monthly learners movement and attendance. So let's wait for the final guidelines coming from our department, as mentioned in the earlier discussion of this school form. Pero tignan po natin na medyo parehas din lang naman ang kanyang nilalaman. For some changes, maybe this will be uh, discussed later or during the final orientation. Okay, so these are the columns, and let us discuss this portion para maunawaan po natin lahat. Number 1, we have the grade level. Number 2, the section. Number 3, the name of advisor. Number 4, registered learners as of the end of the month. And number 5, attendance of the males, the females, and the total. You have to indicate also the daily average and percentage for the month. For number 6, no longer participating in learning activities for male, female, and total. So for letter A, the cumulative as of the previous month, and B for the month. And we add the A and B. This is the cumulative as of the end of the month. Kaya yung tinitignan po natin dito na report ng mga no longer participating in the activities or they are the former dropouts, kailangan po na cumulative. Ina-add po natin yung previous and present. Even for transferred out and for transferred in. So maingat po tayo dapat dito. Let's sub-annex to the learner attendance conversion tool. So, titignan po natin dito yung different locks. We have lock to 1. And the description of this tool is converting presence on online class as daily class attendance. For online classes with the daily checking of attendance using whatever electronic digital platform or application. So, yung applicable distance learning modality po niya ay online. Pag online ang classes, gagamitin po natin ang locked 1. Ano po ang sinasabi po rito? Ay yung actual recording of the number of days present and absent ginagawa po sa locked 1. Kung absent siya sa araw na yan, talagang absent. Kung present naman po siya during the online classes, that will be accounted attendance of the month. Now, dapat magkaroon po ng consideration dito. Pagka yung isang bata, because of poor internet connectivity, kung nag-join siya at bigla siyang nawala at the middle of their discussion, hindi po siya considered na absent. So yun po yung consideration. Pero pagka ang learner talaga ay hindi talaga pumunta o nag-join sa online classes on that day, meaning he is absent on that day. Ano po yung sinasabi ng lock 2? Kasi medyo maliliit itong ating pong nakasulat dito. So ginagamit actually ito sa all distance learning modalities. Example na lang sa module. Okay, pagka ang isang bata o isang magulang nakuha niya ang module ng kanyang anak, ang sinasabi po rito, the distribution of modules is equivalent to 3 days attendance and another 3 days attendance for the retrieval. This is to complete the 6 class day per week stipulated in DepEd Order number 30 series of 2020. Alalahanin po natin medyo na lessen yung number of months attendance ng mga bata po natin. So to complete the Republic Act total number of attendance in a school year ay 200 or 200 to 220 days. Kaya ang ating pong attendance ngayon ay po pwede na 6 days in a week. So hindi po ibig sabihin dito naman na kailangan po ay mag-retrieve ka o kaya gagawa po ng activities ang mga teachers or school head during Saturdays and Sundays. This is just a conversion. Yung pagsagawa ng mga teachers po natin at mga parents po natin sa pag-receive at ang pag-retrieve ng mga modules ng kanilang mga anak. So, inuulit ko po ito, how to record the school form number 2 using lock tool. Ito actually ang usual na ginagamit po ng ating po mga schools, yung pag-distribute ng module, pag tinanggap ito, that is equivalent for 3 days. Pag ito naman ay retrieval time, ni-retrieve, ibig sabihin ay additional 3 days na naman ang ibibigay po nating attendance ng mga bata. Okay. So we have here the example, attendance checking weekly and attendance checking monthly. So number of contact efforts, for one contact effort for distribution, that is equivalent to 3 days. For one contact effort for retrieval, that's equivalent to 3 days. For monthly naman, and there are 4 contact efforts for distribution, that is equivalent to 12 days. And for contacts effort for retrieval, and that is also equivalent to 12 days. Why? One is equivalent to 3 days. What about in the situation like we distribute all the modules for the whole quarter? So, bahala na po kung paano po ninyo gagawin ang pag-convert ng mga ito. Ibig sabihin, yung lahat ng modules ay dinistribute na ng school from module 1 to 8, for example, or 1 to 7, then that will be multiplied by siguro, let's consider the number of months na napapaloob sa isang quarter. So makita natin dito in a month, meron pong 24 days attendance ng bata. So you can make use of that idea also. Thus, if the learner has only made a total of 4 contact efforts against 8 scheduled contact efforts, then he or she will have 12 days present and 12 days absent. The learner shall be considered present even in the delayed or non-submission of a module as long as there is communication made between the parent or the guardian or the learner. So hindi po pwedeng i-absent ang bata kung hindi po sila sauli po ng kanilang mga learning activities. Maybe because meron pong isang pamaraan at ito nga po yung ginagawa po ng iba na portfolio preparation. Kasi ang portfolio preparation, ibinibigay lang talaga ng bata yan at the end of the quarter at nire-receive ito. At kung ito naman ay kompleto, that will be equivalent to a full day or a full attendance during the month or during the quarter. Siguro magbibigay po ako ng additional sample dito para sa ganun there will be a clearer understanding about the attendance of our learners sa lock number 2. Okay, for lock number 3, printed modular, digital modular. Converting the submission of outputs, modules of learners into class day attendance. Assign class day equivalency for the percentage of module, output submission by getting the number of outputs and the module. So, yung lock 3 po pwede rin po natin gamitin ito, and what we will do is we convert the outputs and the modules when they will submit that to the teachers or to your school. So, yun po yung medyo pag-aralan po nating mabuti dito. Let's have this another example. The total number of submitted outputs or modules, regardless of score, can be converted into class day attendance. To illustrate the week schedule of 6 class days in a modular learning approach is the complete attendance, which is 100%. The number of submitted modules and number of required modules for the week may vary. For example, for the weekly checking, number of submitted modules, 6 modules. The number of required modules, 9 modules. Complete days of attendance, 6 days. And so the formula will be like this. The number of submitted modules all over the number of required modules times the complete days of attendance. And that is 6 all over 9 equals 0.67 or 67% submission for the week. That will be 0.67 times 6 days equals 4.02 or equivalent to 4 days present for the week. Thus, if the learner has submitted only 6 modules against 9 required modules for the week, then he will have 4 class days present and 2 class days absent. So kung dito ang bata ay nag-submit ng modules ng 9 modules at ang required modules ay 9 din, kahit na hindi po natin i-compute ito, the complete days will be achieved by the learner. So magkakaroon po siya ng 6 days attendance. And so, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for listening. And I hope everyone is enlightened about these interim guidelines on the preparation, checking, and submission of school forms 1 to 10. Let us wait for the further instructions regarding the amendments, changes in some school forms as mentioned in this DepEd memorandum. Wherefore, there will be another orientation to be conducted via our CID Google Classroom regarding those amendments. You will be notified through a division memorandum regarding orientation through an asynchronous online learning if there will be new issuances from the Department of Education regarding curriculum implementation. By the way, you can actually download this recorded lesson for your teachers. So once again, my greetings to one and all. It is my fervent prayers for our safety and security in the midst of the pandemic. Keep on trusting God, for He is our shelter and shield and our daily provider even during these difficult times. And I will end this orientation with this beautiful passage from an unknown author, and he said, "A good teacher is like a candle. It consumes itself to light the way for others."